This is the History Podcast. Now, here's your host, Jason Thomason.
Welcome to the History Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Thomason, and today we will explore one of the most tragic incidents in American history, the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln on April 14th, 1865. Join me as we uncover the details, the context, and consequences of that fateful night at Ford's Theater. The year is 1865. The American Civil War has come to a close, and President Abraham Lincoln, celebrated for his steadfast commitment to preserving the Union and emancipating slaves, found himself at Ford's Theater with his wife, Mary Todd, trying to take their minds off the events of the last 5 years. The war-torn nation, still reeling from the scars of conflict, sought solace in the promise of a reunited country. As the clock ticked towards the night of April 14th, 1865, a sense of cautious optimism permeated the air. Little did anyone know or even suspect that the very symbol of this unity, President Abraham Lincoln, was about to become the target of a meticulously orchestrated conspiracy. As Lincoln took his seat in Ford's Theater that fateful evening, the echoes of the recent Civil War lingered in the collective consciousness. The Emancipation Proclamation had reshaped the moral landscape, offering a glimmer of hope for a nation grappling with the consequences of slavery. Lincoln's presidency was marked by the weight of historical significance, and his presence at Ford's Theater was a symbolic moment of respite for a nation yearning for healing. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the conspirators led by John Wilkes Booth were finalizing their nefarious plans. Booth, an acclaimed actor with Confederate sympathies, was driven by a fervent desire to reverse the fortunes of the defeated South. His co-conspirators, each with their own motivations and convictions, were about to set in motion a chain of events that would alter the trajectory of American history. As Lincoln immersed himself in the play Our American Cousins, the conspirators moved stealthily, shadows in the backdrop of this historical stage. The dichotomy between the unaware audience and the impending tragedy added a layer of irony to the unfolding drama. In the heart of the capital, Washington, D.C., the stage was set for an unforeseen climax. The atmosphere within Ford's Theater was charged with this anticipation of post-war renewal. But lurking in the shadows was a sinister force poised to shatter the illusion of peace. Join me after this short little break as we delve deeper into the events of that ill-fated night, exploring the motivations of the conspirators and the profound impact of their actions on the course of American history. We'll be back in a moment. The chief architect of this nefarious plot was none other than John Wilkes Booth, a son of a famous theatrical family and a fervent Confederate sympathizer. Booth, with his dashing charisma and thespian talents, was not merely an actor gracing the stage. He was a man fueled by deeply ingrained beliefs, embarking on a perilous mission that would shake the foundations of the post-war United States. Booth was born into a renowned family of actors, and he was no stranger to the limelight. However, as the winds of war swept the nation, Booth's loyalties veered toward the Confederate cause. His charismatic demeanor and Southern charm masked a simmering anger and a burning desire to resurrect the ideals of a defeated South. Booth's descent into radicalism was driven by a cocktail of personal convictions and a staunch belief in the Confederate struggle. His connections with Confederate sympathizers and a longing for the days when Southern aristocracy held sway over American society fueled his desire for retribution. Meticulously planning the assassination of key figures within the United States government, Booth became the puppet master behind this conspiracy. And his theatrical background equipped him with the skills to orchestrate a tragedy that would reverberate through the pages of history. The stage was set, not for entertainment, but for a dark political drama that would unfold in the most unsuspecting of places, Ford's Theater. The cast of characters in this plot include George Azarat, who Booth assigned to assassinate Vice President Andrew Johnson, and Lewis Powell, entrusted with the mission to eliminate Secretary of State William Seward. As the night of April 14th, 1865 unfolded, the events at Ford's Theater and Secretary Seward's residence painted a portrait of chaos and conspiracy. While John Wilkes Booth carried out the heinous act that claimed President Lincoln's life, and Lewis Powell's attempt on Secretary Seward's life unfolded with grim determination, the contrast with George Azarat's hesitation was stark. Azarat's moment of indecision amidst the unfolding tragedy stood as a microcosm of the diverse motives and convictions within this conspiracy. As Booth and Powell executed their roles with unwavering commitment, Azarat had a moment of wavering resolve, which became a symbol of the moral conflicts that existed among those who conspired against the government. In the dimly lit bar where Azarat sought refuge, the clinking of glasses and murmurs of conversation created a backdrop to the internal struggle within him. Was it fear that stayed his hand? Or did a flicker of doubt about the righteousness of their cause pierce through the fog of conspiracy? Azarat's reluctance to carry out his assigned task on Andrew Johnson invites us to explore the intricacies of the human psyche amidst the chaos of historical events. It was a moment when personal conviction clashed with the gravity of the conspiracy, leaving Azarat caught in a web of conflicting emotions. The conspirators, united in their goal to reshape the nation, were nevertheless a disparate group with varying degrees of commitment. Azarat's internal struggle provides a window into the complexity of their motivations, the shades of gray that colored the actions of those who sought to alter the course of history. The aftermath of the conspiracy to assassinate President Abraham Lincoln unfolded as a dark epilogue marked by a massive manhunt for John Wilkes Booth, the elusive mastermind behind the tragic plot. Spanning 12 days as Booth eluded pursuers through the swamps and forests of Maryland and Virginia. The culmination of this manhunt occurred on April 26, 1865, when Union soldiers finally tracked Booth and his accomplice David Harold to a barn. He was cornered by Union soldiers. Booth refused to surrender, leading to this fatal confrontation. The crack of gunfire echoed through the night as Booth succumbed to his fate, ending a chapter in American history that had begun with the pull of a trigger. The other conspirators, no less, entangled in the web of justice, faced swift and decisive retribution. 4 of them, including Mary Surratt, found themselves at the mercy of the U.S. federal government. Mary Surratt, notably, became the first woman in American history to be executed by the federal government. Now, you may be asking, who is Mary Surratt? Because we haven't heard about her yet in this podcast. Well, Mary Surratt's role in the conspiracy was marked by her association with John Wilkes Booth and her alleged involvement in providing a meeting place for the conspirators. The decision to execute a woman was very controversial, and it reflected the gravity of the charges against her. The aftermath of the assassination left an indelible mark on the American legal system and public consciousness. The executions of the conspirators were a somber culmination of a nation's quest for justice. The hanging of Mary Surratt, Lewis Powell, David Harold, and George Azarat served as a solemn reminder of the consequences that awaited those who conspired against the highest echelons of government.